Battlefield 1 is a far more bombastic take on the idea of a World War I game than fellow shooter Verdun, and considerably more so than the cartoonish but emotionally complex Valiant Hearts. In the UK and Europe, PEGI rates Battlefield 1 PEGI 18, suitable for adults only, for extreme violence and strong language. The Games Rating Authority expands on its PEGI details by saying that the violence in Battlefield 1 is typical of wartime first-person shooters, and that players are armed with a variety of firearms, blades, explosives and vehicles such as tank and aircraft. The GRA describes the worst violence as characters being beaten about the face with shovels, having their throats slit, or being impaled on bayonets, and that during cutscenes these events are shown in graphic detail with the use of blood and gore effects. The word fuck and its derivatives are used throughout. Battlefield 1's short single-player campaign tells an anthology of stories from World War I, opening with a striking prologue in which the player dies multiple times, respawning as a new, doomed soldier each time. The episodes move around in time and theatres of war to showcase diverse combatants, including an African-American soldier and a Bedouin fighting alongside T.E. Lawrence. EA DICE are the main developers of the Battlefield series, as well as the Mirror's Edge games. Battlefield 1 is available for PS4, Xbox One and PC for around £40 or $60. Extra multiplayer content, including new maps, costumes and weapons, can be purchased either as part of a deluxe edition, a premium edition, including early access to the content, or as a separate bundle at various price points. PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live Gold are required for online console multiplayer. Battlefield 1's single-player campaign can take as little as 6 hours to complete, dependent on ability, going up to around 8 hours to explore every corner and secret of that campaign. However, it's the online multiplayer options that form the bulk of the game, and dedicated players will find themselves sinking many hours into those options over the coming months. World War I was a horrific conflict, and developer EA DICE strike a balance in Battlefield 1 of honouring the dead and mining the conflict for gameplay excitement. From the haunting prologue in which the names of dead soldiers appear on screen every time you are killed onwards, the short single-player campaign aims to highlight the suffering and massive death toll of the war, and how instead of being the war to end all wars, it was in fact the dawn of modern mechanised conflict and the precursor to a bloody 20th century. With appropriate respect given in the single-player campaign, the player can then jump into online multiplayer, forget all that, and enjoy the brutal novelty of abandoning the usual high-tech weaponry of military shooters in favour of rifles, biplanes and mustard gas. Wrestling with old technology adds an extra level of challenge to the gameplay, and the various classes allow the player to explore different parts of the conflict, as well as taking on different gameplay roles. Squad-based cooperation is highly encouraged, with different classes of player needing to combine their gadgets and abilities to achieve certain objectives. The bloody immediacy of the combat, tanks that move surprisingly fast for the 1910s, and exploding airships may not be considered entirely respectful or historically accurate, but they are undoubtedly exciting. Having strip-mined World War II, the Vietnam War, contemporary Middle Eastern conflicts, and even plausible near futures for inspiration, the endless parade of military shooting games are digging further into the past and future to provide new thrills. While this year's Call of Duty lurches towards the final frontier of warfare, Battlefield has gone back to the beginning, to the conflict where modern warfare was forged, to the debut of tanks and planes and automatic weapons on the battlefield. The single-player campaign provides a surprisingly tasteful element of context to the horrors of World War I, and once that context is established, even the excesses of the military shooter genre, the shock and gore of fast-paced combat, can be seen in the light